Hey, what is up YouTube? This is Pow3rh0use here with another one of my videos, and before we begin the Beyond Divinity review, there is something that needs to be done. If you watch the Stable Orbit review, I pretty much said if you comment on the video, then you'll be entered into the giveaway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the giveaway started and let's see who wins. So the way I'm going to do it is this. Pretty much I'm going to grab all these names, I'm going to put them in this nice straw hat, mix them around, and whatever 5 names that I pick will be the winners of the contest. Sound fair? Alright, for the first person that won, it is Untitled 21. And the next person I got here is my boy Jimmy, longtime fan. The third person I got is Count. The next person I got, this guy is apparently really poor, so you better be glad I picked your name. It is Drum Thumpin' Monkey. And the last one I have is I need a profile number 1. And yeah, so those are pretty much your winners. Just comment on this video to claim your prize. Hopefully in the future I have a better way of doing these giveaways. This is my first giveaway that I've ever done. So yeah, just come here, put a comment so you can claim your prize. And once that happens, I'll send you an email of a Steam code. And from there, you know, you can play the game and hope you have a good time. If you have any issues with the Steam code, please contact me as soon as possible. I'll get it resolved as quickly as possible. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, on to the montage. Divinity Original Sin 2 is finally here, and Larian proves once again why they are the kings of the CRPG genre. While I know many of you would rather have me talk about that right now, I wanted to highlight how Larian's ability to experiment and innovate dates far back in 2004. As I mentioned in my review, Divine Divinity was a pretty awesome RPG. I loved how open and non-linear the game was, and the satisfaction of finding badass loot. While many companies would be content in rehashing the same game with new quests and locations, Larian decided to radically change the formula for better or for worse. Enter Beyond Divinity, the sequel to Divine Divinity. This introduced party combat to the series. It also deviated much from the original, which has left fans divided on this title. Is it really just a letdown from Divine Divinity? Or should fans move beyond, pun intended, and appreciate the game for its innovations? As you create your character, you can choose to be male, female, or a child? Not too many games where you get to be a 10-year-old kid murdering demons, so thumbs up to Larian. Graphically, the game has been improved in many areas. The overall resolution of objects are higher, and the sight actually scales with the resolution, which was sorely needed in Divine Divinity. Beyond also features 3D models instead of 2D ones like in Divine. While the models do look better, they contrast with the 2D backgrounds. It's easily noticeable on the eyes and doesn't have that nice storybook atmosphere to it. The music, however, is still amazing. Kirill Petrovsky, rest in peace, uses a vast array of instruments that creates a foreboding atmosphere of the unknown and a sense of despair of what lies ahead. In short, a really great soundtrack. A few hours in and you'll notice this is not Divine Divinity, as this game is moving beyond that, pun intended. Instead of vast open fields of grass, you're tossed right into a grey dungeon that you'll be spending some time in for the next few hours. It's a much more action-oriented, linear experience than the previous one. The combat is the huge focus here. It is relatively unchanged from Divine Divinity. Left click to attack and right click to use whatever special move is assigned to it. When a bunch of enemies are on screen, you can pause the game and choose which enemies your character should attack. This is absolutely essential, especially in certain parts where you're attacked by 10 or more enemies at a time. It works well enough and it is simple to understand and get into, but it becomes repetitive in the long run. What has been completely revamped, however, is the skill tree. Now, all the stats remain the same: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, etc. But learning skills is completely different. Instead of leveling up your swords or ranged weapons, you select either melee or ranged, select the weapon you want, either one-hand or two-handed, and then from there choose what specifically to upgrade, whether it'll be accuracy, damage, etc. Each of these can have 10 levels within them. This is just a mess and takes way too long to fully level up a skill. The game is also divided into 4 acts, each becoming a bit more open as you progress along. Once you finish one act, all the side quests and locations from that act are gone permanently. This means that if you forgot to talk to that one NPC chilling in the cellar before you left, you won't get that limited edition one-of-a-kind Tanglewood bow for completing his quest. To me, all this does is keep you on that linear train ride. Now, to be fair, linearity is not necessarily a bad thing if done right. Fortunately, Larian tries their damnedest to keep players engaged. While most of the game is about real-time Diablo-style combat, there are puzzles that need to be completed to progress along. Many of them rely on switch puzzles, which are okay in moderation, but in this game, there's just way too many. They are also so random when they appear, which has me wonder how the hell the guards can travel here without going insane. Must be getting paid well. While the dungeons are very boring to look at, they are well designed throughout. Each holds secrets for you to find, whether it'll be a rare item or a key to another world known as battlefields. Battlefields are side areas that contain their own quests and dungeons not related to the main story. When I entered one for the first time, it was a breath of fresh air, literally. I started off outside with 5 merchants around me, which instantly reminded me of Divinity. All of them had their own quests, so I was excited on exploring the world and finding out what it had to offer. Sadly, it was more of the same. I ended up in dungeons and realized all the quests would be solved within here. There was no point in exploring the beautiful grass, as I was gonna end up in a dank and depressing torture chamber. Larian intended these to be side activities you can do at your own leisure. However, this isn't the case, as missing the keys to the battlefields will force you to be underleveled. You can still beat your enemies if you're not at their level, but it becomes more frustrating than rewarding. The game itself isn't as difficult as Divinity, but there are just as many cheap deaths lying around. Sometimes walking in the wrong room will have you ambushed, while you can trigger a trap that kills you instantly. When you need to resort to cheap tricks to make your game difficult, you know you screwed up. After playing through it, there seems to be a huge conflict with the game and the story. In between acts, your demon friend narrates the events in acts like he's carrying your ass to victory, when in actuality, you are working together to overcome obstacles and you need each other. Not sure if it was to make a point that stories get fluctuated depending on the perspective, but I found it odd nonetheless. The humor in Divinity was well done, but here it comes off as forced and awkward. Considering how much darker the story is, it causes a conflict in tone. I think the voice actors are also to blame as well. Divinity had some pretty appalling voice actors, but whew, they are even worse here. Everyone sounds like they're holding their tongue while shoving a sock down their throat. It's beyond atrocious. Pun intended. It goes without saying, but there is a general lack of polish. This also applies to the technical side of, at launch, this thing was a buggy mess. Crashes, items being gone, glitchy quests, and a whole bunch more were present. It's been over 10 years, so obviously this has been fixed in post, but there are still some weird bugs here and there. I actually found an exploit where I equipped my poison arrows but selected my normal arrows. I was somehow still shooting poison arrows, but my normal arrow ammo was being depleted instead. Not sure how I did it, but it worked and made fights much easier than necessary. Now, I know I've been hating on this game a lot, but it's not that I don't like it. I enjoy it from time to time, but it feels like a step down from Divinity. The visuals are dull and gray, the gameplay is way too linear and combat focused, and it lacks polish with numerous bugs and glitches. However, I applaud Larian Games for trying something new. I like having 2 people to control, I like the concept of battlefield, and I enjoyed the story for what it was. I can slightly recommend it to RPG fans. Out of all the Divinity games though, this is my least favorite. I honestly won't beat this game anytime soon. Thank you guys for watching as always. Please like, share, and subscribe, and also follow me on Twitter. This is Pow3rh0use, signing off.